This is things you might not have heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and right now in the queue we have for you today 8 news stories from yesterday. And yes, it was a hard day to get news. One, because New Year's Day. Two, because the news that overtook New Year's Day. But we did get many stories, the full complement of 30 stories in a day, and we chose from the top 15, and you gave us stories you reflected on. So we have your stories for today. Now, they cover topics from information, current events, politics, and pop culture news, as always. And we, of course, will get into the two big terrorist type threats that we had yesterday, one in New Orleans, one in Las Vegas, and 6 other stories to go along with that as well. Now, I'll remind you right now that our website, Home This Is Conversation Project, will let you know all the things you need to know about us. So if you're new, find out about us. If you've been here for a while, don't quite understand, it's all there for you to see, plus other calls to actions at the website. And you can email me with questions, comments, and concerns as you will at the email address, theconversationinbox@gmail.com. I've said what it is today, but just to make sure it is stated, it's Thursday, January the 2nd, 2025, second day into the 365 that is this year, and we're already at a pretty heavy start to get started. So let's get into the news. No particular order as these stories are being done. This is the order essentially as we thought best for narrative versions. This doesn't reflect how the actual engagement goes. We'll explain how that engagement goes and how these stories get into our queue, our listing at the end of the headlines. Starting off with headline number 1, because you have to start headline number 1. This is still the story that's overtaking everything right now. Sugar Bowl postponed following terror attacks in New Orleans French Quarter. This is a rundown of the attack, plus the addition of the Sugar Bowl, which was scheduled for last night, the 4th of the semifinals in the college football series, which is postponed to tonight, if you will. The New Year's Day tragic incident occurred in the New Orleans French Quarter by a man named Shamsu Did Jabbar. He's a 42-year-old Army veteran who drove a pickup truck displaying Islamic flag and into the Bourbon Street crowd, resulting in at least 15 fatalities at the moment and 30 injuries that we're known right now. After he crashed the vehicle, Jabbar actually came out of the car and had a shootout with police, shooting 2 officers. He was fatally shot in the incident, and those officers right now completely believe in stable condition. Authorities discovered the weapons across the French Quarter, various other devices that seem like they're IEDs. They had to take them down, plus explosive devices potentially in the truck, which show that this was a premeditated attack, something that was bigger and could have been bolder, if you will. The investigation is going on into the details of Jabbar's life, where he was once an Army veteran. He spent time in Texas as a real soldier, as a member of the U.S. Army, and of course in the National Guard. Way back when, he did financial stuff. He had YouTube channels, stuff like that. Lately, he's been having financial difficulties and issues with his family, just not being the same, and essentially being radicalized by ISIS for this ISIS-inspired attack. Right now, we believe it's ISIS-inspired, not necessarily coordinated. Now, he's an American-born citizen, born of Texas, so he's a Texan, he's American, but where he got to here, no one quite knows. Of course, the Sugar Bowl, the football game scheduled for last night, was postponed 24 hours, so it's actually a little less. So it'll take place about 4:30 Eastern time, I believe, today. So you get an extra day of football if you have the day off. Otherwise, we'll find out who's going to match up in the college football championship in a few weeks. This incident, of course, highlights the concerns on low-tech terrorists and attacks across the nation, possible attacks, especially here in New Orleans. We'll go to Las Vegas in just a moment, but here in New Orleans, we have essentially we have the game that was last night, that'll be tonight. So that's one game going on. Starting on Sunday, they begin parades for the Mardi Gras season, which goes into March the 3rd. And of course, in the middle of that, there's a Super Bowl. New Orleans is one of the highest locales for tourism in the world, as people want to see the French Quarter and people come to see conventions and big events in New Orleans all the time. It's a great place to get in and do stuff because of the atmosphere and the fun times there are, but it also makes this a pretty heavy target. Now, what we know about the targeting system, based off the Christmas attack, the car that drove in the Christmas market in Germany, many cities have actually bolstered up their actual security, and New Orleans actually had a bolstered security for sidewalks and their barriers, but they weren't fixed. So in the effort to take things on the level of a grander scale for Christmas and for the Sugar Bowl, they had police officers out there basically barricading things off in regular barricades, as opposed to prepping to get them fixed for the Super Bowl in a month. Essentially, the government's going to shut down, everything the day after the Sugar Bowl and get started to make sure the Super Bowl was fortified. Now they're doing it much, much earlier. This is one heavy thing. But it gets even heavier because this was only the first of two attacks in the day that seem to have a sort of terrorist ISIS bent. There are less things known in the next story for Las Vegas, although there's plenty unknowns here for New Orleans. Less things known in Las Vegas for this situation here. In fact, as I was prepping this up, we're a little late getting the story out today. I'm watching the news and they're doing some new info on what they know about the guy here. So I'm going to pepper that in as best as possible with what we have for the actual robot editor from last night's work. The Trump Hotel in Las Vegas was evacuated after a Cybertruck catches fire outside the lobby. That was the original thing. It got fire because it blew up. A Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas about 8 o'clock, 8:30 local time. The death of the driver and 7 injuries to people who were just bystanders there. This was a rented car via the app Turo, which is also how the Texas driver got his Texas truck from Turo to drive to New Orleans. Turo is a app that allows private citizens to rent out their vehicles, especially if you have something like a classic car or something like that, so that people can use those cars. And it's where everybody gets their Lamborghinis for those fake videos on YouTube. In that truck, they found gas canisters and large fireworks to hopefully make a big bomb. Now, what made this a little bit safer, if you will, the build of the Cybertruck, which was touted by Elon Musk to make it impenetrable, basically made it hard to blow up. So the explosion did not go out, it went up, and it saved the infrastructure at Trump Tower. It could be a much better explosion, except for the build of the Cybertruck. Now, this is one that actually gets a little bit, let's say more interesting, because a Cybertruck parked outside of Trump Hotel would make it seem like it's more of a targeted attack, more of a statement attack, if you will. We're finding out more information about the person who rented the truck, at least. The person who rented the truck is a 19-year active duty service member who is actually has some special forces training, so he should know how to do more stuff like this. We're not sure if that's the person who's in the truck because they can't identify the body yet, but we know the person who rented the truck from the Turo app has these backgrounds and things going on. And this looks like more of an actual planned event for just a statement, Trump Towers and a Cybertruck, as opposed to the New Orleans thing, which seemed more like a point of convenience. In fact, some of the chatter about how this thing came about from New Orleans being maybe a second sort of location, because there was the people there and prepping for New Year's coming out and the Sugar Bowl coming in the next day. Maybe this was a chance to have a large crowd of people around to do something. And the way it just turned into, guy just sort of drove off the street and went down the sidewalk. Seems like this was sort of just a, hey, let's do this thing right now, as opposed to something that really was actually planned. The Cybertruck in Vegas, this one looks like something that you do on purpose, especially as they could monitor his actions from both license plate readers and the Tesla trucks. They track themselves. So you're talking about Tesla being a great company. When you gas up, when you go around and you do your pass and press buttons in your Tesla, Elon Musk knows where you're going. So all that's happening. These are two stories that are similar, not the same, but are they intertwined? We'll know more about this one in days because they're gonna figure this thing out. They found Luigi Mangione. They will figure out this thing right here. The thing that gets us all worried is, are these the start of more coordinated attacks or more lone wolf attacks that are just going out there to cause terror here in the States? We shall see. ISIS apparently did not like not being involved in many things. So apparently ISIS is now on the rise, whether they're doing it on purpose or more people are just finding them and being inspired to show their love for the organization. Showing love for Wicked as it becomes the highest grossing film based on a Broadway musical. The adaptation of the first one, Wicked, the first one, has garnered $634 million worldwide in money. That is surpassing the previous earner, Mamma Mia, at $611. So there you go. It's not by much, but much enough to make it happen. And remember, Wicked has 2 parts. So we will see if you actually add the money together or cut them separately, how that is going to be going forward, because 634 in these dollars a year from now will probably be more just if it evens up what's going on, just because the cost of things going forward. Opening weekend, $164 million locally, domestically, so that set a new benchmark for Broadway adaptations on its own. And despite this achievement, it still actually is trailing other musical films on the larger scale, like The Lion King, which grossed $1.6 billion, but the live action one there, that's that one has a little more time to gestate. So here you go. But we will see how this thing goes forward in the future. We will see more Wicked, Wicked 2, Wicked Good, Wicked for Good, I should say, not to be funny. Coming up next November, next Thanksgiving, see the second part, which people are anticipating and people are hoping is much better than the second act of Wicked because of the expanded story coming from the book pieces and the cast that is, people saying awesome. Let's go to Gypsy Rose Blanchard because it was technically a slow news day, even though we had big news going all day long with the sports games and the cars that had their incidents yesterday. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is welcoming her first child to all of us. Known for involvement in a high-profile case concerning the death of her mother, she has welcomed her first child with boyfriend Ken Urker. The daughter, Aurora Reyna Urker, is born on December 28th, 2024 in Louisiana. On the 1 year anniversary of Blanchard's release. It just sort of happened that way. I'm just not sure how these things happen, but it just sort of did. Urker shared the news on Instagram, posting a photo of Blanchard holding their newborn in a hospital bed, captioning, "Welcoming 2025 with the greatest gift of all." Now, there was all sort of talk about Blanchard actually trying to auction off the baby pictures, and that may still happen. But we have the loving parents showing their first signs of love and life with the new baby. They chose the name Aurora due to their shared fascination with the Northern Lights, the name that had selected together during Blanchard's incarceration. So that's interesting because she was also married. She was released from prison on the 28th of December. 8 years she served in a role in the death of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, who, of course, subjected her to 2 years of medical abuse. And following her release, she rekindled a relationship with Urker, who she initially had met in a pen pal relationship, but she also was married to somebody else, which made this thing complicated. We have DNA tests that show that this baby is this man's baby. So the husband, I don't even know if they've actually been divorced formally yet or done. And apparently, we definitely aren't done with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Blanchard has expressed confidence in her parenting abilities, vowing not to repeat the mistakes of her abusive mother, which when the bar raised that low can probably be met fairly well. We are doing something special all this week. Tomorrow on Friday, we hope to do something like the normal and get this thing done on the right time, get the right sort of pathway, because I got to go back to work on regular schedule come Monday, long day Monday. But we're not there yet. If you're seeing this in a kind of a weirder sort of sense of this is not normally my feed, I thank you for watching this. If you're seeing this and wondering why it's so late, I thank you for checking on it. I need whoever is watching this, however you are, if you're enjoying this, to help us out to grow this thing. Go to our website, and we'll talk more about that in a bit at the Conversation Project. This is conversationproject.com, and more details about the background here. But this is the part where we promote liking, sharing, and subscribing the work. And we'll do it very quickly today. Like what you're seeing here, the video here, the videos we do, so more people can see them algorithmically. The algorithm will force more people, force it down more people's throat. Show it to more people, so more people get a chance to see it. And of course, I get to see which stories I'm doing the best, which ones come out better, so we can get better on those. Share it with like-minded folks who like news, even when news gets overtaken by bigger news. We allow you to see more news, and you get a chance to be a part of the selection process. We'll explain that after we finish all the headlines. And if you're not seeing this directly in your feed, just sort of popped up today, make sure you subscribe in whatever form you want to, what you have to get to. Watch us on TikTok, watch us on YouTube, watch us on X, watch us on Facebook. Subscribe so we're in the right format that you want to see us in, and we get to you whether we're producing something that's live or in clips later on. Moving back to the stories, this is a headline. As I said, we had to fill it with some stuff, and it was a weird day to get things in there because of all the coverage of the New Orleans attack and the Las Vegas attack. We have the Duchess Meghan attack, who is rejoining Instagram with a photo shoot done by Prince Harry. Meghan Markle is now on Instagram as the handle @Meghan, Meghan. Her first post, posted on New Year's Day, features a video of her running barefoot along the beach and writing 2005 in the sand, signaling a fresh start for the new year. It was probably filmed by her husband near Montecito, California, their home. It captures natural sounds of the beach and creates an atmosphere that's intimate and personal to Miss Markle. Now, in this short period, she actually has 635,000 followers. So in a day, she's put those people out there. People are finding her. Experts say that Meghan could potentially earn up to £800 per sponsored post on her new platform, which means their money troubles, which we hear they have, I'm not sure how deep they are, could be alleviated by being an influencer, Miss Meghan Markle. The comeback to Instagram aligns with her plans to launch a new lifestyle brand called American Riviera Orchard, which has jams, household items, and cookbooks, I guess. The brand's name appears to pay homage to Santa Barbara, often referred to as American Riviera, where the family lives, the Sussex live in the Santa Barbara area. And the return to this is her first personal account since she deactivated her previous profiles in 2018 based on all the royal family drama. Welcome back to the gram. Welcome back to social media. Welcome back to all our lives, hopefully in a more positive level, Meghan Markle. We're announcing the passing of a person who you don't think you know, but you know her. She's been a staple of tabloids and things for many years. And this is Jocelyn Wildenstein. She is known as the Catwoman socialite for her extreme cosmetic surgeries. If you're watching the video, you know how you know her. She died a few days ago, passing away on the 31st at the age of 84. The Swiss-born socialite, renowned for her extensive cosmetic surgeries, which led her to be nicknamed Catwoman for her appearance. Born Jocelyn Percite in Lausanne, Switzerland in 1940, Wildenstein gained international attention for her dramatic facial transformations, which often attributed her to her Swiss heritage, despite widespread speculation of surgical enhancements. So she said she looks like that because she's Swiss, but they're pretty sure she got some work done. Her high-profile marriage and subsequent divorce from billionaire art dealer Alec Wildenstein further propelled her in the public eye, especially after securing a record-breaking $2.5 billion settlement from the husband in 1999. So she was taken well care of. Later years, she faced other financial difficulties, even though being taken care of. And even though she got $2.5 billion, she filed bankruptcy in 2018. She's survived by her 2 children from her marriage with Wildenstein. So we are now mourning the loss. The early losses popping in for 2025, starting off with the Catwoman. Here's a story that if there were more pressing things, or I should actually say less pressing things, other than the Las Vegas and the New Orleans attacks, we probably wouldn't cover. But it's an interesting take for people who are into the sports ball, which many of you are, and people who are into how things work out in NFL work, and how the way people work to make things work out. Now, the headline for number 7, and the interesting story behind this is, it's a big deal for one of the teams because the other team literally doesn't care. The Chiefs are going to start Carson Wentz against Denver in a critical playoff-clinching matchup for Denver. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to start Carson Wentz as their quarterback, leaving their number one guy, their starter, who actually had some injury issues, some worries on the back end of the thing, Patrick Mahomes, to sit the bench for the final game of the season. It's a 17-game season, and the Chiefs have the number 1 seed. They have the first week bye. They're 15-1. They're not playing for anything. They have no reason to show up, but they've got to because tickets were sold, and you got to do those things, and Taylor Swift may show up and things like that. So since they have to show up, they're dressing out the third string guys. They literally don't care what happens on this weekend. So the rest of the starters, Patrick Mahomes will get a chance to just kind of get ready for the playoffs when he gets a chance in the playoffs, because he has another week off because they have a bye week. Backup Carson Wentz gets some starts, and who's a pretty good quarterback and has some specific play time this season. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Wentz can do some big deal, some damage in the game. Here's the thing. The Denver Broncos have to win this game to keep playing. They have to win the game to get a playoff seat, and they might even need some help. I think they win when they're in, and the help comes with other people losing back and forth. Here's the problem. They're facing the best team in the league. People may think they're a not great 15-1 team. They may wonder why they're so lucky and win everything, but they're a top team in the league, and they should blow out the Denver Broncos if their starters played. Andy Reid's like, you know what? We're just going to chill. We're good. We're all right. We're okay. They literally don't care. They do not care. They're dressing out because they have to. Now, anytime you put on a uniform and show up on field, you have a chance to win. So the Chiefs aren't going to just tank the game. They're just not going to play their top players. And they know that. Carson Wentz, hey, he's cool about it. He likes the opportunity. He's decided to get a chance to have some fun, especially in a game that doesn't matter at all to anyone on the team. They can do some damage by showing folks what they can do when nobody cares, which is also a testament to what happens when they do care. This is a big weekend for Broncos, Dolphins, Bengals, as those three are looking for a playoff spot in the actual continue to play. And the Broncos essentially win this game, and they're in. So they got it in the bag. Maybe. As I said, Chiefs aren't going to tank the game. But, Andy Reid may have a couple extra Snickers bars and some more of those nuggies and just kind of sit back and chill because it means nothing. It means literally nothing other than some, tickets and some revenue and paying the salaries for the Chiefs. And finally, I'm not even sure why but like I said, we post stories from various different spots all day long to get you to check them in the feeds. We'll explain that literally after we're done the story. You guys engage in the story. We're talking about it. It's a lighter story from what else stuff happened, especially since Elon Musk is involved in at least one of those stories. Musk surprised fans by changing his name to Kekius Maximus on X. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and owner of X, formerly Twitter, recently changed his display name on the platform to Kekius Maximus and updated his profile picture to feature Pepe the Frog, dressed in golden armor, holding a video game controller. The name Kekius Maximus appears to be a fusion of Kek, internet slang for LOL, and Maximus, referring to the Roman general from the film Gladiator. The change coincides with a significant surge in the value of the meme-inspired cryptocurrency token named Kekius, which operates on the Ethereum and Solana blockchains. So it seems like it's a cash grab. Following Musk's profile update, the token value increased by over 500% within 24 hours. However, after Musk reverted back to Elon Musk, token experienced a sharp decline at approximately about 6%, highlighting the volatility of these things, i.e. hawk to a barrel, raising the prices on stuff. So it's not so much a surprise as it is a cash grab and a troll from the king of the trolls. We're at the part where we do our teaser section. This is where we transition out of the news, 8 stories from yesterday that you guys highlighted, you guys engaged in to give us the headlines, and tell you how to get those headlines engaging into the next batch for tomorrow, for Friday. So the headline we're teasing right now is the headline that will be posted sometime in the morning as we were doing our show, or doing our stuff. Our posting, if you will, happens on our feeds. The feeds are on Facebook and X. Facebook.com/this is a conversation project. And x.com/th_conversation. Every 50 minutes or so, we post a news article from various places. Voice of America, not one we post very often, but this was the story link that we want to do for this story because it was the one that basically detailed it, I think, in the best light. This is an interesting take we have here. Biden's going to honor 20 Americans with a Presidential Citizens Medical. This is the second highest honor that can be bestowed on them as an American. And many of these people that are in this batch seem to be members of the January 6th committee. So it looks like he's sending a message, although we know Joe Biden's been laying really low towards the end of his career as president. This one seems to be sending a final shot message out to the world. Do you want to talk about it? We can talk about it if you engage it on the feeds. Go to the feeds and find the story. As you go to the feeds and check out your other stuff on Facebook and X, see this story or other stories that are in our feeds, things we can potentially talk about, and your engagement tells us if we're talking about it. If you hit the right emoji thing, a like, a thumbs up, whatever it is, based on what it is you're watching it on, engaging in it with comments, sharing with other people, the higher an engagement a story gets, better chance we have talking about it. Tomorrow, we'll give you 8 stories from the top 15 out of 30 or so stories we'll get over the course of the day. We will see if that happens. Today, we did not talk about yesterday's teaser story. That is the sharp drop in homicides. Third straight year it's dropped in homicides in the U.S. Did not quite hit the numbers. I think more people were sort of engaged in the larger stories and the other ones just sort of sneaked in there. You can tell us what we're talking about. You tell us what we're talking about every single iteration. You tell us if we're talking about these medals or what else we're talking about come tomorrow. Right now, let's talk about ground news. it seemed like appropriate to sort of shift out where we were planning our actual advertising thought processes yesterday to focus not on some of the other things, because it is advertising is what helps us grow and fund things here. But we want something that had to be a bit more succinct and make sure that people are getting the right information, because that's what we want to do here at the Conversation Project. I do give you commentary based on what I think, and you can agree or disagree, but we try our best to make sure we have the facts given first, the things that are the real, the things that we do know as the truth and not alternative facts. Ground news helps you figure out what are the truths and what are the alternative facts, at least based on your political lining. Now, ground news aggregates news from all sources and lets you know when a news story is being covered by a certain group more or less. It gives you a rundown based on how the coverage goes, whether it's more of a conservative leaning or a liberal leaning or more straight down the middle. It tells you who owns the platform given the storyline, what their sort of political bent is, and how you can gauge how the stories work, whether they're more red or blue or somewhere in the between. And what's really great about ground news is they have a blind spot feature for people who live in news silos. If you really, really, really want to see what the other side is talking about that you're missing, they will show you what stories are covered exclusively by the right, exclusively by the left. Or some stories aren't being covered at all, or being covered fairly in the middle, because neither side wants you to see that. The feature there is just one of major things that allows you to see how your local, national, global news works with an unbiased perspective, or seeing the biases in the perspective so you can understand how it goes like there. So if you're a news nerd like me and you've not heard of ground news, this is your chance to get on this one. And they offer a great deal using our link, 50% off their plans, all plans, for a year's worth of subscription. And you can find it at going to our link. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. Ground news is a news source was something that many people online, many people who do a commentary seek out because of what it is they provide for you. And we use it. I use it personally. Many people use it. I subscribe to it on a top subscription so that I get the best news coverage when I need to understand where a story's going. If you want to get deeper into your news, check out Ground News today. Use our link. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. It's an affiliate link, so we get a small commission for you signing up for the service, but you can see beyond the headlines and just get past whatever clickbaity thing is there and figure out where the bias lies and go for whatever you want to read on your own. Ground News takes good care of you, takes good care of us. If you use them, they'll take care of us with a small commission fee. The Conversation Project lives online at thisistheconversationproject.com. Now, my copy reads, are you tired of mainstream media deciding what stories matters most? Because I had this, AI copy thing to it. But basically, are you tired of mainstream media deciding what stories matters most? Are you really? We at the Conversation Project try to fix that and let your voice shape the news. There's a community of people out there who are news nerds. People want to get perspective, and they want to have their say in what's being covered. That's how we have this thing here. You follow us on our feeds, engage with us, and you tell us what stories are worthy of talking about. Now, the limits come by on what I can post in Facebook and X and on Threads as well, and you engaging in the stories and you telling me by your engagement what goes where, what stories are big. As I say, we take on Monday, we have 30 stories of 90. On the rest of the week, it's 15 of 30. And we take those stories that you give the most engagement to, you give the most juice to, and we pick the best ones for the show here. 10 for Monday, 8 for the rest of the week. And if you don't think we're doing well, email me and let me know. The conversation inbox at gmail.com. Let me know of a story that you thought you should have got more engagement could get there, because we do pick from the top stories. It's not a straight number down the line. We tried it once, didn't quite work out as well we thought. So now we give you a choice to give us a choice to go from. Go to our website, thisistheconversationproject.com, and learn more about us. Follow us on our feeds. All the feeds and places we're listed are there. Follow us in what we're doing via our sponsorships. If there's a sponsor that can take care of you, they take care of us. Consider being a partner and coming directly to fund the efforts we do here. Lots of great things expected for 2025. We need you to be a part of it. We need you to put some skin in the game. We need some folks there. And yes, we know the internet number is about 3% of the audience will actually contribute in any way that will be financial to what's going on there. So we don't expect a lot of folks in. We don't have a lot of folks in now, but we do need more. If we put on your heart that what we're providing is great content and a great service, consider going to the partnerships page and helping us out. Of course, make sure you're following us on the feeds and engaging with the stories and emailing me with your comments, because that tells me what to do for the daily parts of the show going forward. The Conversation Project lives online at thisistheconversationproject.com. We post trending news topics from around the globe. You tell us which stories are more conversational. We pick them up and plug them up into this thing here. If you like it, like, share, and subscribe. With that, we're done for the second day of 2025, and it's already pretty much a heavy time. We're not even 48 hours into the whole deal. So if you're like me, waiting for the resolution of the football game, waiting for what happens with the Sugar Bowl, because that means something to you, we have a game this afternoon to check out, so you may have to sneak it if you had to go back to work today. If you're like me and a news nerd in general, keep an eye on the stories that are popping up all across of the whims here. Make sure you're engaging with them, and email me directly, and we can chat up news anytime you want to. Comment to this video, comment to anything we have out there. Let me know how well we're doing. We'll go back to a more regularly scheduled type of deal next week when I'm back on a regular schedule, and we'll go back to a more pithy type of deal when we have less complicated stories and I have less time to sort of ramble about stuff. So if you're new here, it's a lot tighter, normally a lot tighter. Sometimes it goes haywire, but hey, we're trying new things, we're doing new stuff, and we're getting a lot of feedback from stuff we've tried. So send me your feedback, send me your comments, complaints, and all your gripes, and be here tomorrow. We're going to wrap it up like normal for a Friday edition of Things You Might